The M2 threaded rods came. I got 6 of them. 4 sort of straight ones and 2 curved ones. No, they're all supposed to be straight. These aren't all exactly straight. It's not a big problem. I'll straighten these out just by rolling them on the surface. And the rest of them, they're cut short. So they will work, but boy, Amazon, come on. I've got the Dragon Link antenna in the wing and the wire to go down the boom to the tail rudders. And I've put U-Hoop in the channel for the carbon fiber spar. And I'm getting ready to glue that down inside there. Antenna in, and I cut a channel right here for the antenna coax. Got the servo, aileron servo being added to it there. Got the, this will be the rudder servos added to it there. And all of those will come out the end of the wing here. I just tacked up those wires with a little CA, light CA, and they're pretty much out of the channel. There's places where it isn't, of course, but that's what I'm going to go with. Let's put some U-Hoop on that channel and close that up. There you go, one wing completely closed up with a RC receiver antenna in it and cable for rudders going through it. So we have aileron, rudder, and RC receiver sticking out this end of it here. That wing is finished. It just needs to dry. So here's the channel for the video transmitters cable. This is for the little place where the 2 servo wires go together. It's a little larger. I just cut it rough and let it go right up through there, going out. And there's the little square for the video transmitter. Boy, you talk about a problem. You see that little round ball of U-Hoop in there? And there may be some on the side. Anyway, I just stuck the rod, this boom right here, in there to start figuring out the length for the elevator cable. And I think that little round ball in there got between the rod and the coupler. I almost didn't get that rod back out of there. It's crazy. I'm gonna have to get in there and get that stuff out of there somehow. Well, I got it out, but boy, that ball must have got between the plastic on that coupler and that carbon fiber. And boy, at first, the harder I pulled, the stucker it got. Stucker? Okay, more stuck it got. And I finally just had to pull as hard as I could to get that back out of there. Now I've put it back in there and taken it out. It's fine. Boy, and this is such tough stuff. And this ball's a little bigger than most you've seen me playing with. And when I get a hold of it right here like this, I can't pull it very far. It just, this one, and this one's had time to cure. This don't pull very far. It is very, very strong, but that's about the thickest piece, solid piece we've seen yet. So, okay, let's get back at it. I want to close up this. Oh Lord, guys, that U-Hoop almost got me that time. I prepared this for putting this in and glued it, moved it around with an acid brush, put it together, pulled it apart. Now you're supposed to wait 10 minutes and then put them back together, and it works like the weldwood adhesive. As soon as they touch, they bond. It's wild. The humidity around here is extremely low in the winter. So the other day I waited 10 minutes. That was too long. Today I was waiting like 2 minutes. to let both sides kind of cure a little bit before sticking them together. Well, you know that strip that goes in there is about 3/4 of an inch thick. Man, when that stuff touched each other, it stopped. It didn't want me to push that strip down inside that wing. I had to get both hands on it and push down with all my weight, and I'm a big guy. Well, at least I'm overweight. To get it to go down in the channel where it was supposed to. But it went right away, went quickly. But boy, it tried to stomp on me. This far out of the wing. Oh, man. So that's never coming apart, I assure you. So this one has the video transmitter in it, and I made a god-awful hole in the top because I had to get the whole elbow of the bottom of that antenna through there. And now I have the elevator wire coming out of where the tube will go in back to the tails. So I've got elevator and aileron, and now I have this wire to cut off and put those 3 little connectors on, and this build will almost be finished. Now we're back to this creature. This is a Y connector I had on it just for that little play test yesterday. That's probably not going to work where it's at. The connectors only come out about an inch or 2, 1.5 inches back here. Elevator on that side, rudders on this side. So this has a channel in here for this wire to go over and be ready to connect to the wire that comes out of this boom right here. So that's pre-made into the model right there. I will go ahead and do that the way it was set up to be done, like I did the other one. I just have to figure out what I want to do with this Y connector. Do I want to disconnect it here, cut this, move it this way? You know, you see what I'm saying. So when I get that figured out, how I'm going to do that, then that will be basically the last thing on the model. Put the booms in, connect them to the wings with the wires through them, connect them back here, put the wings on the fuselage. It will be fully constructed except for the camera system. I have not made any, I haven't thought about that at all really. Thought about, like it said before, just putting a run cam camera on it in a fixed position, because the first flights are going to be line of sight tuning. I don't need to be in goggles for that. It doesn't help to be in goggles for that. It actually hinders to be in goggles for some of that. I got really lazy. I gorilla taped that down, put an extension on this to go over to right there where it'll connect to the rudder cable that comes through this boom. And I put this one, glued this one down in the normal track it goes in, so it comes up here and connects to the elevator cable that comes out of that boom. I've got to adjust the length on this just a little bit, and that'll be about it. It's just, I've been going for 6 days now. No, this may be the 7th. With 2 days of heavy soldering in there. Yesterday was a really heavy soldering day. It was quite fatiguing. Complete. Screwed together, tightened down, ready to hang next to the other one that hangs over on the rack. There's the first SkyHunter's tail section hanging up there. And I'll just take this second one and we'll just hang it right here behind this one until it's needed. There we go. There's the second SkyHunter. There's the first SkyHunter down there and its tail section. There's the second SkyHunter's tail section sitting there waiting. I really do have a urge to put this together, but I know I would turn around to get a camera or something and look back and one of the wings would be drooping because the Yoo-hoo didn't cure or something like that. So I'm going to wait and let it have time to cure. And this connector is the only thing really left. I have to wait for that wing to cure up a little bit, and then I'll put it near the solar station and put that on the end of the video transmitter cable, and that will be it until I get ready to do the camera system on the front of it. Alright, so this is Mission Planner connected to it. 7 satellites. The HDOP is 1.8. That's still not flyable. That's certainly not. So there's the old days where I didn't go with the default of 6 sats. I went with 7 because 6 was really bad for me, experience-wise, multiple flights. I didn't have HDOP back then. Might have been there, but I didn't pay no attention to it. I just made sure I had 7 satellites, and I went. You can see that gets you fairly close. And HDOP will change with the number of satellites connected. See, that didn't go to 3 that time. When it dropped to 6, it didn't go to 3 HDOP. So me and I think No Fly Drones were discussing this, and number of satellites and stuff. We're expressing interest in the idiosyncrasies of that. I was just kind of referencing that here. So you see we're reading 25.22 volts, so the current sensor's not too far off on that. I'd have to measure it with a meter. Well, that's pretty darn close. And if we look at my control program for my bench power supply, it says it's feeding at 25.219 volts. Well, you see, so it's really close. It's actually 219. It's 3.3 off. So, yeah. And right now it says it's pulling 0.153 amps at 25.2 volts. And this is a graph down here of the amps it's pulling. This is a graph here of the voltage. Nothing going on. If I go ahead and shut it down right now real quick, voltage wise, it won't shut it down completely because it's got USB power in it. So just disconnecting the battery power, so to speak, which is flight power, you see it doesn't change a thing. Oh, look, we're to 8 and we're at 165. We're still not below 1.4. Man. So I wonder which wins, the sat count or the HDOP. So you see now it's at 10 sats and now it's below that 1.4. So this would be great. Anyway, now that we've given this some time to not be pulling any voltage or current, I'll turn it back on. You'll hear some beeping going on over there from the flight controller. You'll even see that change in current from that going on in this graph right here. See all the little spikes? That's from those beeps you heard. So if I shut it down completely and shut down the USB to boot, I'll lose my mission planner back here. That's okay. But now if I turn it back on here rather than USB, it's all going to come up at the same time. We'll hear and see much more. There you go. See, that time there were more of them. And this is fairly sensitive. So this was what I was going to use when I was going to do the 10 volts out of the ESC on the Camaro. I was going to use this to see how much it was all pulling. Was I pulling more than 2 amps? I don't think it was going to, but we'll see what some of this other stuff pulls. All right, again, I'm going to let this sit here for about 30 minutes and bake. See what happens. While we're waiting on the other parts to cure and stuff, we can proceed on a little bit. Like I said, reinstalled Windows, all my apps and stuff, and I had not reinstalled the program that controls that bench power supply right there from a USB cable in the back of it. The only controls I had for that bench power supply were the front panel ones. And I had put a limit on that power supply with the computer of 20 volts. It could not go above 20 volts. So today I finally got around to reinstalling the computer program for that power supply, and I changed that limit to 30 volts. So now I have it set for 25.2 volts, which is full power for a 6S battery. Probably few platforms ever see 25.2, especially for long after they're plugged in. I think they're usually 25 or less from the instant they plug in. But anyway, I was only feeding it 19 volts till just a few seconds from now. Let's go ahead and hit it for the first time with 25.2 volts and see what happens. A few boops out of the ESC. I don't think it was in well, it might be looking for calibration now, but it's not going to find anything. There's no radio or anything on it. So it's already locked up 7 satellites. It's locking up satellites nice and fast. Same GPS as is on the Camaro. M8Q5883. I like them. Just don't like the price on them. Anyway, I suppose it's fair. I'm going to let it sit here and run for half hour or more with 25.2 volts on it and see what gets hot, what doesn't get hot, and what works and what doesn't work. Can you identify this sound? So I got the ESC calibrated and the motor running. Okay, right off the bat, the wire's coming straight out of the wing. Didn't let me put the wings together enough to get them down inside the fuselage. So I had to reroute them straight down through like that in both wings. They still don't want to really go on well down in the back for some reason. I haven't figured out yet. I think there's see the silver right in there. If I can get the light on it. There you go. That silver ring right there doesn't let those wings completely go together. And I see that silver ring is for the center, but it stops when it hits that rod that's inside each wing, so I can't pull it together any more than that. So I'm going to have to keep checking to see what's going on here. Well, I got the back to go down where it should be, but I just can't get the front to go down completely. And I raise up the wing here, and if you look, that's because this part of the fuselage is not letting it go down. So I'm going to have to do some carving on the fuselage. This right in here is too sloped. Okay, there may be a... Okay, so let me see what I can do if I put the front in. Will the front go all the way down and then the back? The front will not go any lower than that at all. Oops. Well, it was lower than that. And it's just the foam on the fuselage and or wing is going to have to be shaped a little bit right there to get that down. Let's see here. Yep. You see, there's no gap there. There's no way for this to lower anymore right there for that front to come down. There's no there. And the back, like I say, the back will go all the way down now. Fine. That's perfect. Man, oh man. So I'm going to have to shape that front. Okay, guys, it's excitement time. I can't put the booms on and get the wires through them by myself. I have to wait till my wife gets home. But here it is, everything hooked up. I still have to shape that fuselage to get it to bolt together, and that prop is not fixed on there. It's just loosely on there. I hope it doesn't bind and this thing go all over the house. But here we go. We have ailerons. We have elevator. We have throttle. Whoops, let's not do the throttle yet. Let's just do rudder. And I have to walk over and arm it to do the throttle, and I'll do it real quick and then shut it back down. There you go. That's all you get. So it's not finished because, like I say, the fuselage and the wing have to be shaped so they'll mate. They're not mating right now. And I'd love to tighten that prop down, take it outside and see if it'll taxi, but not quite ready for that. See, some of the control surfaces are just a little more wacky on this PWM signals than it was on my little servo tester at 1500. Just a little out. Them rudders aren't quite straight, so little stuff like that will all have to be adjusted for this flight controller that's running those servos now. Right now it's running 25.2 volts. If the booms were on and the fuselage and wings mated, we would call it a complete build, but it's not yet. So, and it's after 3. I'm not going to get it finished today. Just not going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and start rendering this video, and I'm going to go ahead and publish it. I would rather wait until this is all together, but it could take more than a day to polish on that fuselage and get it all made up. Who knows? Thank you guys so much.
Oh, and the airplane said thank you.